Are you ready for some football? Yeah! What's up, everybody? Kyle Skater24 here, and I'm going to continue fantasy footballing for your entertainment, continuing from where I left off with the Arizona Cardinals of the NFC West. Yes, the NFC West is loaded with so much competition, and now I'm going to break down all of the players that you should or should not be looking into for your fantasy football 2021 season. If you want a better understanding as to how I'm going to be best doing this, I have created an instructional video to showcase my rapid-fire input of how I rank each player and where you should place them on each of your fantasy football teams. So without further ado, let's get to it with the Arizona Cardinals offense. Let's start off with Kyler Murray, the main quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. Definite QB1. He is going to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks to be taken off the board. Definitely pick him up somewhere in between the 3rd and 4th rounds, unless you want to take him much earlier, which you could reach for it, but hey, that's your business. All of the other quarterbacks, don't even worry about it. Don't even pick him up in the waiver wire. Next up, running backs, starting off with Chase Edmonds. I would pick him up, running back 3, running back 4. Next up, James Conner. He was a Pittsburgh Steeler last year. Now he is the backup for the Cardinals this year. And unfortunately, he's been riddled with injuries. I would probably have him as a running back 5 or 6. Maybe you don't even need to pick him up. But he would be in the waiver wire for a considerable amount of leagues. Unless Chase Edmonds get injured, probably take James Conner with a grain of salt in the flex position. Now for the wide receivers. And obviously, you can't talk about the wide receiver core without talking about DeAndre Hopkins. Last year, he was spectacular, and he's going to be consistent in that mode again. I would pick him as a wide receiver 1. He will probably get picked up maybe in the 1st round, but most definitely the 2nd round. If you get him in the 3rd round, consider that an absolute steal. But there's also a lot of other wide receivers that you can take as well. AJ Green, who was in Cincinnati Bengal, is now a Cardinal. He's in his mid to early 30s, I believe, but he is not the same wide receiver as he once was. But I would be picking him up draft-wise somewhere in the 6th to 8th picks. He is going to be a wide receiver 3. He's going to be best used as a flex. Same with Christian Kirk. He's been with the Cardinals for 3 years now, and he's not their deep baller anymore. He's not exactly as favorite of a target, but he is a favorite target for Kyler Murray. I would put him in the flex position or in your bench. Lastly, Rondale Moore, their newest wide receiver that they got in the draft. Unfortunately, Rondale Moore is just right behind that massive triple threat in the Cardinals wide receiver offense. So unless one of those Cardinals get injured, Rondale Moore is going to be just a bench player for me. But do pick him up on the waiver wire. He is going to be a sneaky good flex play. There are 2 other wide receivers you should probably take a look at. Just keep an eye on your radar for these 2. Keyshawn Johnson and Andy Isabella. They did have some good catches and some ball-making skills, but unfortunately they're right behind Rondale Moore. And unless Hopkins, Green, or Kirk gets injured, they would not be in consideration immediately. But if they are, I would pick them up somewhere in weeks 12 to 17 as a flex play. Next up, tight ends. And their main tight end is Max Williams. Yeah, not a tight end you would really want to even pick up from the waiver wire. Unless you want to pick him up as a tight end too, which is a good backup, probably, but he has to prove himself. And now, we're going to talk about the Cardinals' defense/special teams. J.J. Watt is the obvious addition to the Cardinals' defense. He was also traded, like DeAndre Hopkins, from the Texans to the Arizona Cardinals. Unfortunately, he is kind of in his prime right now. He is one of the best left ends. Don't get me wrong, he's a great edge rusher, but there's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to work out with the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are a much improved defense, especially from last year, no question, but they're not in the top 10 discussions of defensive teams. But you could pick them up as your defensive team number 2. They do have some good edge rushers, they do have some good linebackers, And they are going to have some good cornerbacks such as Budda Baker and Byron Murphy Jr. As for the kicker, Matt Prater is now the kicker for the Cardinals. No longer is it Zane Gonzalez from last year. I would pick up Matt Prater as one of the top 10 kickers off the board. And that pretty much does it for my rapid fire input of the Arizona Cardinals for the 2021 NFL football season. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to KyleSkater24, where you can find your daily doses of entertainment, especially with these rapid fire inputs of all 32 NFL teams, as well as plenty of other videos to take a look at. And thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much for your support. Looking forward to sharing more of my rapid fire input in the coming weeks.